politics and precious metals, currency and current events, and from Bitcoin to banksters, this is the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show. Now, here are your hosts, Tony Arterburn and Kenzie.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing it.
You have to. You have to do it. You have to jump in right at your cue. Here, I'll turn the music down just slightly. But you did. You jumped in. So it's on record, ladies and gentlemen. She recognizes the gunshot as her cue to jump into the show. All right. This is the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show. I'm Tony Arterburn. I am one of your hosts. The other host is with me here. It's Kenzie. She is the slayer of normalcy bias, Gen Z researcher, crypto analyst, gold bug, silver stacker. What else? Doomsday prepper.
Doomsday prepper. There you go. That just makes me sound like one of those weirdos. But I guess if you had a TV show come out here, you know, there's plenty of America that would be like, well, she is pretty weird. So that's okay.
We can all agree that you're weird, but we like your weird. That's why we tune in. If we're looking at normal, they're not going to give us any good information.
No,
normal's not helping out right now.
No.
Matter of fact, let me start the show off today. This is the third show I'm going to read this on, and it's a quote from Jerome Powell.
Uh-oh.
Let me pull this up. I read this on the David Knight Show, and I read it on my radio show. Let me find it real quick. This was his testimony from Wednesday. And he talked about, he says, we don't want to have to cause a recession, and we don't think we'll cause a recession. This is his language. He's talking about, we don't think we will, and we don't think we'll have to. Did you catch that?
Oh, yeah. I watched both days live.
Yeah, the quote the Raven put out an article in one of his interviews, and I had to read it more than a few times to figure that out. I'm like, this is really going on. Like, he actually said that, and it's just it's in congressional testimony. So let me see if I can find the exact quote. Of course, I pulled up every one of your show notes but that one, and that's the way it goes here at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. We've had both Kenzie and I've had a full week, but we've got a great show yet to go. Here it says, an economic downturn is certainly a possibility. We are not trying to provoke, and we do not think we will need to provoke a recession, but we do think it's absolutely essential to curtail inflation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anybody else think that's just the most bizarre thing? We don't think we will need to provoke one, but it is important to curtail inflation. So that's what I wanted to read.
Goodness,
unbelievable.
And we're in like a bad position because, if they continue doing what they're doing and level that up and do what we probably should do, right? You get a recession. But if we continue on the path that we have been on, we get hyperinflation. We're dealing with this double-edged sword, and everybody listening needs to be ready for either side of what comes.
Yeah, it's like there was a story out last week talking about, the amount of product that is going to go down in price after we reach a certain, crescendo, after it collapses, where you have inflation driving up, inflating the bubble. You've got energy prices driving that as well. And then eventually there's a domino effect, it just implodes. And people were saying the bargains, the deals are going to come out of this. So it really begs the question, like, what is it? Hyperinflation? Is it deflation? Is it stagflation? Gerald Celente calls it dragflation.
Dragflation. What's weird is, like, in the past, whenever I used to have my own shows and stuff, I actually talked about, and people would get so confused, that I think that we would enter a time that is extremely deflationary, but also extremely inflationary. And if anybody is confused still today, whenever you're hearing this now, I'm willing to bet that if you went to a Costco, a Walmart, or wherever today, right now, I'm willing to bet that there's a number of TVs that are super discounted, a pack of batteries that's super discounted. You know, your stuff that isn't exactly needed, but our gas, your food, things that you absolutely have to have will continue to get more expensive. Um, so it's just a shift as far as, where people will be putting their money and what's most important to them, because these big retail folks, they still want to sell you something. I mean, this is America. You need more stuff. Whatever they can do to get you to have more stuff.
You need more things.
More
And that's what
things.
we used to make things in this country, and that was the point of our economy. From this is what I gleaned from history. We started out as a manufacturing base. We made things. We were a creditor, and now we borrow. We're a debtor, and we consume
Mhm.
and not
It's
produce.
it's crazy to see, what has happened. And, honestly, that's probably why the work ethic just isn't the same either in people today, and even people that are older than me. Um, you really think about it, like, America literally there were men that built skyscrapers, and, like, men built the Panama Canal, and, like, now we don't really do anything, so
No, we
and that
don't.
was, like, during a time where you didn't have the same technology that we have today, Tony, so it was, like, brute force and just, people, massive numbers, and now no. Now you probably just have, like, one robot that could put a building together, I guess, and a couple of supervisors, right?
Well, you're forgetting. Welcome to the future, Kinsey. You can now take pictures of your food and share them with people that you don't know. Did you know that's we didn't get flying cars. We didn't get space travel. We didn't get, we didn't get the fountain of youth or breakthroughs and anything. You can take a picture of your food. And if you're a certain political persuasion, you can have social media. Did you know that?
Mhm.
Did you know that? And we that's what we make now. We make we manufacture.
Hashtag avocado toast.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
the millennial thing, right?
Exactly. You're not a millennial. We have to remind the audience. You sent me this link. The Fed balance sheet increased this week, which likely surprised people. They've increased the balance sheet by about 20 billion this month. Not a really big deal. Not 20 billion is nothing. So to hit their goal of reducing it by 47.5 billion, they need to sell 67 billion over the next week. This doesn't seem likely. QT is a bluff so far, which means quantitative tightening. So
Yes.
they've raised rates,
Yeah.
and it's 75 basis points. It was a 0.75 an actual point. They've said and they've signaled that there may be 100 basis points, which is a full point next month. I don't know. This whole scenario, you look at, the White House says it's Putin's price hike and it's really Putin's profit spike. He's doing well. Even Jerome Powell pushed back on Putin's price hike, and he should know because, I was doing the show yesterday and thinking about that quote from Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, and he said that inflation is caused by nationalism. And I thought, well, that's ironic because I think you caused inflation. You
I think
he blames nationalism, and I blame Larry Fink. So these mega corporations and the giant banks, which I'm pretty sure Trump merged those two things. I
Mhm.
know that there's a really tight connection and relationship between BlackRock and the Federal Reserve. So no, they really. This is interesting. It's like they're waging a psychological war on the currency,
Mhm.
and I want to get your take on that because if you really wanted to stop inflation, you'd have to go Paul Volcker. I mean, I know they raised rates more than they have in 24 years, but that's with this sort of volume in the money supply. They put rates in the teens back in the late 70s. There's no way they can do anything like that now. I mean, what is this? Is it just buying them time? Is it showing that they're trying? What is it?
Maybe it is just buying time. Because you notice this week, markets have kind of, I'm not going to say that everything's over, but they've kind of like stabilized, and markets across the board, commodities, your stocks, and cryptos. So it seems like we've bought some time. You also have people that think, oh, okay, this is over. So now it's safe to get in. And I'm like, no, no, it's still hot. Don't touch it. So it's buying time. And I really think that they're trying to decide right now which direction are we going to go, because it's either depression or hyperinflation that leads to. I mean, either way, you get either one, and you're looking at a depression. It's just which one takes longer to get there. So, and
That's
and uh, with the balance sheet thing, like that's the public. That's the public balance sheet that we're allowed to know about. We know that they have balance sheets that we have no clue the amount of assets that are on there.
Wait,
And I think that that's
you're saying the Federal Reserve, our federal branch, is not transparent?
not 100%.
Isn't it
Sorry.
federal? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. There's no oversight in a private bank. It's not federal and it's not a reserve. There's no reserves there. What
Mm-mm.
brilliant language that thing is. When they came
Mhm.
up with that on Jekyll Island, the creature from Jekyll Island back November 22nd, 1910. Here's another article you sent me from Reuters. Hey, Reuters is a direct link to the Rothschild Bank. Fed is shredding forward guidance for good or ill. Explain to
Mhm.
me the forward guidance.
So, as of, I guess, for years and years now, forward guidance is a tool from the Fed that kind of, this is their idea of the transparency of this is what we're going to do, make your investments appropriately. And whether you're the little bitty guy or you're JP Morgan, this is great for you because you know that the Fed has your back and what they're buying. And it's sort of like this safety net. And a lot of people hate this, but one of the best ways to invest for years now has been to move with the Fed and not so much against them. Now, all of this is probably about to come crumbling down because without forward guidance, we don't really know what's about to happen. And they could say, hey, next month we're raising interest rates 75 basis points, maybe 100. What if they only do 25? What if they did 300? We have no idea what comes next. And as for market volatility across the board, oh man, it just gets crazy. It can get crazy pretty fast, actually. So that's a little bit concerning. Just a little bit.
This article says just 3 months ago on March 4th, Fed Chief Jerome Powell told reporters that an outsized interest rate of 75 basis points was not something the central bank's policy committee was actively considering as part of a planned series of rate hikes to rein in 40-year high inflation. What a difference a couple of months makes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've certainly got a problem. They're the ones that created it. Not
Yeah.
sure that, if you're going to go back to the same people who set the house on fire to put it out, I guess that's what we're doing in this country. But it's causing a lot of shakeups in other areas that we'll talk about here a little bit later in the show. I've got a little bit of news on gold, which Kenzie, there's not a lot of news on precious metals that people don't already know, which is hard to do a gold and crypto podcast on. But I think there's some insight going on. I mean, you can glean a little bit from the headlines. You can take a little bit away from what's going on that I think you'll. What is this, like a prognostication of what could be?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Like I can take a look at the headlines and say, well, there's a strong dollar is causing the price of gold to, and then of course the anticipation of rate hikes is causing gold to go down. I'm like, why would gold go down on that? That would because again, the economy suffers, and when the economy suffers and people want safe havens, they go to precious metals, right?
Exactly. I heard some interesting news during the week. Did you hear that the US Mint had put distributors on notice that their allocations are getting cut for the foreseeable future? Um, I think I'm pretty sure I retweeted that. So that would be on my Twitter. Yeah, and so it also says that premiums may be going up on US Mint Gold products.
More
More,
premiums.
more.
Well, it's interesting. I brought some coins on the show. For those on the video viewing audience, I got some American Eagles here in stock. Don't you like that sound?
I love that.
I've got a few of them here, actually more than a few. I've bought a lot of gold lately, and I haven't had time to market it. So I looked on JM Bullion, and American Gold Eagle is going for about 1995. I will sell an American Gold Eagle for 1950. So you want to contact me Monday? Price is good through Monday, but I'll sell one for 1950. Again, that is a check price, no fees, and we'll have to figure out some shipping. But 1950, and you can go direct. I've got a direct pay link, but I've got enough to fill an order, and I've also got some MS62s. PCGS and NGC, I believe, of some MS62 $20 gold liberties that I've got in stock. These are all they're in the slab.
In the
And
slab.
I'll do those for
Some people,
2,000.
that's all they'll buy is slab stuff.
I've looked online. You can find these things for up to like 2,200, 23. I'll let them go for 2,000, but you got to pay. You got to no fees, no credit cards, unless you want to pay the credit card fees. It's 3%.
Yeah.
And I've got this is just a few other things, but I wanted to bring them up. I've got an MS61 $10 gold liberty, and you can call for a price on that, but I may let it go for around 1,000 or so. We'll see. But you can get in touch with me on Monday. So just a few of the deals. If you watch the live show or if you tune in and you download the podcast, I promised you I was going to get some deals back. I've been too busy lately to bring the deals out, but I've got some stuff available and some 10th ounce coins.
Oh, real nice.
Yeah, 10th ounce American Eagles. I got a bunch of them. Looks like some other economic news. I'm going through Kenzie's links. U.S. existing home sales are down 9% from a year ago. Hey, we've been talking about this, didn't we?
We have been talking about
that. Then this is a bubble.
Yeah, and it's so hard right now to really look at this data because for the last 2 years, the housing market was on fire, like literally volcanic activity and kerosene fire. So it's kind of hard to go, oh no, we're in like a problem state. And I know that we are because interest rates going up. That's going to give people a problem. I mean, they literally can't get the same house that they could have got a couple months ago just because of interest rates. It's just something to keep an eye on. But what's really interesting to me, Tony, is if this continues, I think that we could see the housing market kind of maybe snowball faster than we ever have, because typically a housing crash is very slow, and maybe if we get one, it just happens a little faster.
Well, I think you're right about that. I mean, this is how it usually goes. You have a big boon in the economy. There's lots of currency floating around. Lots of, when you have a home loan, its currency is created. That's this direct tie to the central bank that we have, this system of fractional reserve. It's fractional reserve. And they create the currency. And that puts a lot of into the economy and inflates the economy, and people buy things, and then there's more goods and services made. And then you have the transportation costs of those goods. So energy demand goes up. This is kind of a brief overview, at least the way my mind works and the ways I see it. And so then it drives the prices up of energy. And then since we're sanctioning ourselves with the issue in Russia, which really hasn't really hurt the Russians, hurting us a great deal. So we, it's our patriotic duty, by the way. We have to pay $7 gasoline, but we're sanctioning ourselves, and so the price goes up, and this whole thing blows up. That's the way it always looks to me. I mean, 2008. So one of the comments in this tweet was, "Looks like 2006." I'm like, yeah, I remember that because I had a real estate company. I was 26 years old, and I was looking at this, going, "Wow, there's something wrong with not doing as many loans, and there's not as much activity. I see some problems," and it just got worse from there. So. And that's when prices really started to kick in on gasoline.
Yeah.
So,
and now it's just insane. It's insane.
Not a good sign.
I saw a terribly funny meme the other day, and I'll just pop this into people's heads, but it was a photo of like a 7-Eleven, and it was like the prophecy has been foretold or something.
I guess it's $7.11.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too good. That's too good. Well, this is one of your headlines, and then we'll talk a little bit of gold and silver news. But I saw this the other day. I thought this was cool. I was on with David Knight on Thursday, and he asked my opinion about Bitcoin, and it's where we are. I said, look, we're in the currency war phase of whatever you want to call this. This is what you call a fourth turning. There's massive historical shifts, and the war has just begun. Yeah, you've seen Bitcoin, crash, or I say it's reevaluated. We'll get your opinion here in a minute, but there's all sorts of news coming out still. It's 99bitcoins.com. They have a deal like Bitcoin has died 451 times or something. I thought that was a great little piece. But you put out, this is a link that you sent to me via email before we started the show. Breaking, the governor of Louisiana has just signed a bill that allows financial institutions in Louisiana to custody Bitcoin and digital assets for customers. So, interesting.
I don't like it, but it's cool. It's fine.
Well, is it just more of the normalization? It's, I think Michael Saylor put out
Normalization. Yeah.
Yeah,
Normalization.
the 10 things that you would need to fix Bitcoin or to get it to where it's supposed to go. And Bitcoin it's not an anonymous asset. I mean, you can use it somewhat anonymously, but it's some level you're going to be surveilled. I mean, that's the case. Bitcoin is not a privacy coin. I think we've established that. I still like Bitcoin, but is it true? And we'll discuss this and then we'll move on. Is it true with some of these moves that are going on, like the city of Fort Worth is mining Bitcoin? I mean, that's, if you go back to just 4 years ago, that would just be, I would think, unheard of. Like, what? Like a city's touching the cryptocurrency, the dangerous cryptocurrency. And then so is institutional money, does it drive Bitcoin or does it kill the experiment? Does it nullify it? I don't know.
Both. Is there C? Oh, my answer is C.
Well, I figured you would say something like that. I'm not 100%. I think things lead back to Bitcoin. It could be a great way to use other cryptos. But I'm not going to dance on Bitcoin's grave, although I'm not pushing it. I'm not telling people to go buy it. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist or anything, but do still think that there's a story to be told here, and we're seeing that unravel. But yeah, good. I saw that. I'm glad that you brought that up because I didn't bring it up this show, and that would just kind of lead me to ask you about where Bitcoin's going. The bottom. There's an article up on Cointelegraph, and it's a Bitcoin holder data. Hence, BTC price really close to bottom. Short-term holders may be done with the bulk of their panic selling, while the Mayer multiple shows buying the dip has rarely been more profitable. What do you think?
Rarely been more profitable? I mean, if you're dollar cost averaging week to week or month to month, of course, that's like the best way to do things. This household has two different strategies. My partner tends to dollar cost average, and until things get just kind of, this is unrealistically high, and then you kind of adjust that. And I tend to like really big dips. So yeah, I don't know. Handle it however you want to handle it.
Well, the question,
I'd say either one is okay.
Well, the question remains is are we seeing the bottom of this cycle for Bitcoin? I don't know. I think the problem is that the economy's still floating along, and we haven't.
You know what I have?
Mode.
You know what I have seen, Tony? I don't know if you've noticed this, and it's not a huge gap yet, but there have been 2 or 3 days now where Bitcoin's not moving exactly with the stock market. Now that could change and it could pop right back in, but what I'm watching for right now and what's going to let me know is I want to see Bitcoin separate itself from this market. We've both been wanting to see that. But the question is, whenever it does that, is it for the better or worse in that temporary moment? Because long term, I love the idea of Bitcoin. I love the idea of crypto and various assets being out there. But in this moment, just be very, very, very cautious with everything, people.
Yeah.
Everything. It's not just cryptos right now. Everything.
But I think a lot of people want to know, like, is this, am I holding to the bottom? Is this the bottom? Is this where it has resistance and then starts to climb back up the mountain? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know either.
I've
And
seen Bitcoin do crazy things. And we were talking about 2020, Bitcoin hit like 3,000,
mhm,
after, but also gold was what, 1,100, and
mhm.
silver was $11 or something like. Now you couldn't find it anywhere for that.
No.
But that was in response to when we did have a crash, and people forget that because the crash in March of 2020 was massive. It was the biggest crash we had since 1929. But the
Mhm,
next day, the Fed reinflated the markets. That's where those more trillion. They'd done about 6 trillion before that on the last quarter of 2019, but that leading in the first quarter of 2020, people forget that, and we're still riding off of that.
yeah.
Just it seems like forever ago, but it's really not. And they've inflated that so high that I don't know. That to me, I want to be cautious and tell people, like, while I love the technology and Bitcoin, I like your advice. Stay frosty because I
Mhm.
get weirder
Oh,
before it
it
gets.
could get much weirder. The only thing that would make me say differently and, like, I would never give anybody, like, a buy alert or something, but if they do decide to give more stimulus to the people, depending on what that stimulus is, the amount of the check, that's the only way that I would jump in a little bit harder right now, Tony. Like, that's it. And it's not because I'm like, "Oh, we're going to the moon." It would literally be for, like, a quick flip in and out. That's it.
What do you think about silver right now?
Oh, well, you know me. I love silver, like, all the time. That's the easiest way to dollar cost average, right? Because it's more consistent for us. We know where we're at with that, and I don't have to scare myself, and even if we got back down to, like, a say $10, $7 silver, there's some crazy numbers people throw out there right now. I'm like, "Okay, that would be fantastic because 'cause I'm kind of struggling and I haven't been buying as much, so."
Well, here's the thing. Like I search on what the audience know. There's a lot of stuff on Bitcoin. You can find a few articles on gold. And I pay for some services. I can't read I'm not going to read the pay content on here, the stuff that I do for research. But here's something funny. You can't find almost anything on silver. It's almost
Never.
like, yeah. Does anybody else notice this? It's almost like they don't want you to own it or know about
And
it.
it's weird because, like, you can find an article somewhere about some, like, green factory that's going up, or look at this brand new solar farm, and, like, they'll even give you the little tickers for other various metals that might go into this, but where's silver? Like, because these things aren't gonna work without it. But that's cool, that's cool. I mean, I see their game, it's fine.
Is it just us in the know? I mean, are we just like this group of us that are, silver bugs and gold bugs and precious metals people? Or are we in on something that other people
The
aren't in on?
Nietzsche outcast.
Yes, we're very much a subculture at this point. I was talking to David Knight this week too, and I said, when normal people, because if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sorry, you're not normal. I'm sorry, you're tuning in to listen to
Breaking news.
Tony and Kenzie. You're probably not normal. But when the normies, the people that are, and God love them, and I'm not, this is some people that they're still tuned into the mainstream. They're watching Jim Cramer. At some level, they're going to say, well, I'm losing value in my savings, and stocks don't look great, and there's uncertainty because of kind of like an inverse Gresham's law. Like Gresham's law
Mhm.
states that uh, bad money drives out good money. So like fiat currency drives out gold for a while until the cycle completes, and then it comes back again. People find value. Go look at other places like Weimar Germany and others, but Zimbabwe. But it's interesting because I don't think that the metals won't be there when we have normal people look for them, like
Yeah.
in a down cycle. And the reason I say that is because you see shortages now, and the price is the price is insane. And you talk about premiums with the mints. I mean, the last time I was pricing spot, and we'll get to official spot here, but spot's like a little under 22 for silver, $22. And an American Eagle to retail out of like JM Bullion or me, it's going to be like over 33.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pull that up and check real quick. But what do you think about that? The amount of premiums are already there. What are they going to go to when the demand really trips into the mainstream economy? What do you think?
I don't even know what to think. And to throw on top of that, just this might seem kind of random, but I wanted to throw it out to you because I know that you handle some scrap stuff as well. Did you hear that we already have like aluminum refiners and people going out of business because they don't have the money as of yet to stay open? Now, a lot of these same refiners, some of their other smaller business would be, the scrap silver, gold, and platinum, palladium out of like batteries and things like that. And what'll get weird is like you'll have that rush again to where maybe I can't go and buy a coin from you, but you better believe that
You broke up a little bit there, Kinsey. She'll
that
probably
might have.
come back. There you go.
Yeah, there I am. So I would be like searching the thrift store for I don't know, like any silver set that could be there, some not so great jewelry, whatever it might be, but I would just you'd have to search for scrap. So if you don't have that today and maybe your funds aren't quite there to get a coin, scrap silver, scrap gold, it's still good to hold. It's still silver, it's still gold. But if we have refiners closing down, that's just crazy because that's even less that can make it to the market in a form of a bar or something.
Yeah, the price on 1 ounce silver eagles at
Yeah.
JM Bullion right now is $34.28.
Oh my god.
That's how far we are removed. I mean, you think about that spread, folks. The spot price used to, I would quote people, we're $2 over spot on silver, and we're $50 over spot on gold. That was when I started my business. We're just way past anything like that. And I mean, it's like, at what point is the premium, does it just completely wipe out the usefulness of purchasing that? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is the demand slowing for these things? I don't get a lot of Silver Eagle orders,
Mhm.
mainly because I talk people out of them, and that's and the thing is, it's because I'm going to make the same whether I sell you an Eagle or not. I'm going to make this exact same. That's not the point of the sale. It's just like, hey, you could get more silver, and that's my job. I want you to get more metal for your dollar.
Mhm.
I think that's interesting. We had a question in the chat. I don't know if you noticed that. Let me put it up on the screen. Exchange long to 2,700 to liquidate all short sellers. What do you think of that?
I
What
mean,
do
it's a possibility, but I didn't look at a chart to know that that happened. So I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
know that there's a lot of funny business going on in every market right now, though. And next week, Tony, I could not send any links this week. I haven't had time to research it. Maybe you've heard something about it. This switches over to crypto. FTX has bailed out numerous exchanges. That makes me nervous.
Yeah, well, they had something. Goldman, I believe, is looking to bail out, and I'll have to pull that up. But it was one of the maybe it's on Cointelegraph. Um, but let me go back to their news portion. But they had something on this earlier.
Okay.
Um, and I want to say it was Goldman. This is, I think, CoinDesk is where I found it. Stand by. We got slow internet at the exact same time I'm running my show. So that's fun. Yeah, it's Goldman Sachs leading investor group to buy Celsius assets. This is from sources. The Wall Street firm is seeking a $2 billion in commitments from investors to buy distressed assets at steep discounts if the crypto lender goes bankrupt. So just another. I think what we titled the show last week, Chaos Brings Desired Conclusion, the CBDC, and I think the markets are reaping the benefit of having this crash as well. Some of the institutional money, if you will.
That's weird why Goldman would even want to touch Celsius assets.
Yeah, it is weird.
That's weird. Yeah, I want to read that later.
I do think that more institutional funds and these big banks will be buying up more of the crypto, and that's what this all of this is a consolidation game. Any sort of new technology, you want to buy it on the cheap. So I don't always trust. We're just like, why would the Fed do that? Why would the Fed? Well, is it creative destruction? Are they picking winners and losers? Right? I don't know. These are open questions. Had one more thought on gold. I'm glad we talked about silver because I always feel like I'm maybe in a twilight zone where you find out silver doesn't exist. What are you talking about? What do you mean silver? I never heard of what is the silver you speak of? Because I'm always looking for stories on silver and I almost find nothing. And it's this huge, it should be talked about all the time. Because there's just so many uses, so much upside. The demand is insane. But you just see the price went down again. We can't find it, but the price is a strong dollar. This is Kitco, and I'll get you, this is the there, and I love the chat here. This is says there's a gold crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and silver.
Yes. This is Kitco. Gold continues to drift lower as focus remains on rate hikes and recession. Now, can somebody please explain to me what that means? I mean, I know that the headline, what it says, but
I think that your idea of there is psychological warfare going on as to what the average American should do with their money is very real right now. Very real.
I just don't get that. Everything, it's like, what is that? Everything that you learned is wrong, and everything I've learned over the years about economics doesn't seem to be playing out in my own business. But especially, you've got rate hikes, you've got recession, and then you see lower and lower price. I don't think this is going to last forever, but I don't know when it will end, where it just this cycle of uncertainty, fear, and doubt, right? And then we have lower prices on precious metals where people are supposed to go. It doesn't make any sense. When we hit the all-time high on gold back in 2020, do you recall what was driving that? And it was just a little bit of uncertainty, and the markets were sputtering along. Businesses had still not completely opened back up and still haven't to this day. Since the lockdowns of 2020. And it's just amazing to me that it all-time high was on the heels of that. And there was a lot of I remember the driving force was uncertainty, where we were headed, the election cycle. And now you're even more challenges. Again, it's been more uncertainty, more disruption, and the prices where it's at. So I think it may be just a great time. I have to do my disclaimer, not telling you to do that. That's not an infomercial, but it may be a good time because it's cheap to own it. So
yeah,
I know that's what I'm doing. And I've got some in the shop, and you can call me Wise Wolf. We've got gold and silver, and got some good deals on American Eagles. Let's see. One more comment before we go. Copper only recycling at $3 USD. WTF.
WTF. That's just show title. WTF.
Well, we're in that. I'm glad I have you to talk to because I feel like when I'm looking at these issues, looking at the prices of metals and availability and where we go from here, and I don't know. It's the clown world economy, the Bermuda Triangle economy, however you wanna put it. It makes no sense, but we can at least try to talk it out. We'll do the dialectic, not
Hmm.
the Hegelian one, but the one that that was classical philosophy, back and forth until we figure out the truth. Does that sound okay with you, Kenzie?
That sounds fine by me. And I wouldn't be too, if somebody's actually concerned with where copper's recycling at, I wouldn't be too concerned right now. I'd just be happy that it's at 3. But also, I don't know where they're getting that data from. I have a feeling that it's probably a little bit higher. And that's probably just like your crappy copper that hasn't been like stripped or is clean. So yeah.
Yeah, we had that the guy on the show that was into mining, and there's so much of that going on in the mining sector. We get some more mining people on here because you can see a lot of the big funds are getting into mining, kind of anticipating where we're going to be as an economy. Although I
Yeah.
will say last week when we covered the fact that Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad Poor Dad fame said that canned tuna was a better investment than gold.
Yeah.
The guy I learned gold and silver from, and read most of all of his books, and he's saying, hey, you can't eat gold and silver. They're coming from Robert Kiyosaki, talking about I think that says a lot.
Hmm.
And he's one of those guys that tends to be right. You don't want him to be right because anytime we talk about any of these things, massive implications for people. This is people's lives,
Yes.
with these numbers on the screen.
Well, I feel like that's why we can both agree that, you want to make sure that other things are in order. I'd say before you even consider um, buying gold or silver too heavy, make sure that you do have that extra food and that extra water. That's not a bad idea. For me, I stack gold and silver because if something wonky happens, I want to be able to still have some form of wealth on the other side of whatever wonkiness happened. I know that's a weird way to put that, but I don't plan on using my gold or silver to get food. Like I have food, I have seeds, I have a place to plant those seeds, and rainwater collection is that's not just for shift, that's just how I get my water. So, I try to, have buffer zones around those sorts of things, Tony, and hopefully we can not just, survive, but maybe thrive compared to what's going on in other households.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of changes coming up, and Kinsey and I will do our best to navigate these treacherous waters ahead. I don't think that things are going to calm down. I think there's going to be an accelerating uh, series of events, especially
Mhm.
when it comes to the economy. So, 3 p.m. Central Time. Don't forget that the Wise Wolf Golden Crypto Show every Saturday to the best of our ability. Kinsey and I have been talking. We're trying to find the best time, and we'll take your comments. And we may end up opening up phone lines at some time, not right now. But if you've got questions for next week, you tune in during the live show, and of course, you can find us anywhere podcasts are found. Sometimes the podcast channel has other shows on it, like other interviews and things. So you might want to subscribe. It's always a good idea. Kinsey, you got anything before we head out?
Well, I was gonna say, because in the future we could take calls, but if somebody was ever concerned about that, I would say whether it be on YouTube or podcast comments, somebody could just ask a question in our comments, couldn't they?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, y'all feel free to do that. Always fine. And we don't just have to be live. You can do it when we're off the air as well. And, hopefully we'll be able to see it. And if we didn't, you can yell at us and go, hey, dingbats, I asked you something. And we'll go find it. We'll
This is what this is all about. It's just a conversation, and a good time to say, hey, I've got some products you can get a good deal on, which I was reading you the prices on JM Bullion, and they're I'll have to find out what they were wanting for MS62 graded Liberties. I didn't even look at that, but I guarantee you it's more than 2,000. So I'll do them for 2,000 just to get them out the door. But you can talk to me on Monday. But yeah, we'll have more deals. I've had people reach out to me and say, would you guys please do a show on like how to set up a digital wallet or things, how to safely retain crypto, or how to, buy and sell gold. And I know Kenzie's all for that. And maybe we'll have to get Kenzie in the studio. She's a real person. She does exist. I mean, she does in the third dimension. She is real. We'll have to get Kenzie back in the studio sometimes. I saw a video, like it was reminding me, like, hey, do you remember this when you were alive? And it was 2020, and it was me and you here in the studio, and I had one microphone. Back one of our first shows. We've done many shows since then. So and Kenzie's now the Twitter for Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Exchange. So
Oh my gosh, did you see the typo I did this week of
Yeah.
just buy Bitcoin? And then I didn't notice until I saw people started liking it. And then I went, no, like I'm screaming in the house. I was like, this is so bad. I don't know why my phone decided that, because I corrected it 3 times. And then I just didn't quadruple check it before sending. And I'm like, well, it's what's done is done.
We'll
That's
notice
great.
that there was no reaction from me. It was that's how much confidence I have, and I understand. And we all make, even our phones do make a lot of mistakes for us.
That one made me mad. It did some kind of update this week, and I've had a couple of issues, but it's trying to get smarter. I don't know. Not very
And
bright.
you can find that Twitter handle at Wise Wolf Gold. So, and Kenzie's gone full on Kenzie on the Twitter, which I told her to. And she finally listened. I'm like, just be you. It's fine. It's fine. And we had like 50 followers, and then it's gone up from there. And we got some activity. So go find us over on Twitter. That's usually the best place to find Kenzie. And of course, at Wise Wolf Gold on Instagram, at Wise Wolf Gold on Facebook.
It's
So we're over
popping.
there. And YouTube, I think YouTube's allowing me to broadcast still. They don't know who I am. They haven't caught on. So we'll take advantage of that for a while. But anyway, we'll get out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Remember, 3 p.m. Central Time on Saturdays. Bring your questions. Bring your comments. We'll be live again next week. So say bye to the people, Kenzie.
Bye, guys.
All right. I'm going to play our outro music. You guys be careful out there. Stay cool. We'll see you then. Let me find. I just had it. It was just.
Do we need to keep talking?
Oh, it was one of the like dead air. Dead air is happening. Let's see. There we go. All right. There's the Wise Wolf outro. Just takes a second. My computer's being really slow. There we go. All right.